You have reached Wrestling Hall Toy Review. I'm your man, Red Steele, and today I'm reviewing from Transformer Age of the Primes Powerglide. Transformers Age of the Primes Powerglide. But before I get to the actual review, I just want to go over some of the awesome details on this packaging. Up front here is typical display window showing you with the figure, and all the accessories inside. Top corner here it says more than meets the eye. Below that you have the Autobot symbol. Note here it says it takes 20 steps to transform him. And on the bottom you have an 8+, which is the age requirement for this figure. Here's that packaging here. Two beautiful illustrations of Powerglide, both in his robot mode and in his jet mode. Custom note here it says Transformers Age of the Primes. Over here you have Autobot Powerglide. In the corner you have the Hasbro emblem. Top of the packaging here again you have Autobot Powerglide. In this corner this time you have the Takara Tomy logo. On the other side of the packaging here you have another beautiful shot of Powerglide. Below that you have Transformers Age of the Primes. And on the very bottom here it says Autobot Powerglide. The other side of the packaging here on the very top it says till all are one. In the middle here you have this beautiful illustration of some of the primes. Below that you have Transformers Age of the Prime. And down here it says it is a deluxe class figure. Then the back of the packaging here, on the very top it says Autobot Powerglide. In the middle you have all the figures features such as Powerglide in his robot mode, Powerglide in his jet mode, and over here it says it takes 20 steps to get there. Over here are some of his play features such as a compartment that opens up and reveals his heart. Over here you have him wearing his alien mask. Then over here you have the More Than Meets the Authentic logo. In the corner here the Hasbro emblem. Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Autobot Powerglide. Powerglide was released April 2026 with the suggested retail price of $27.99 and is available at all major retailers. Powerglide was released along with the other Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Wave 5 figures, Cliffjumper, Ratchet, Smokescreen, and Swerve. Powerglide is a Generation 1 inspired figure that converts to his jet mode in 20 steps. His accessories include his blaster, alien mask, and instructions. Powerglide stands 4.5 inches tall and he is meant for fans ages 8 and up. Now I'm going to go ahead and convert Powerglide from his robot mode all the way to his jet mode. But the first thing you always want to do before you transform your Transformers, you want to remove all the weapons and accessories. I'm going to take this blaster here. I'm going to put this off to the side. First of the transformation, on Powerglide's head right here, you have this little tab. I'm going to take this tab now. I want to pull it all the way out, just like that. So step number 2, you have Powerglide's faceplate right there. And you're supposed to flip his faceplate all the way around, just like that. So step number 3, we'll take that tab now. We're going to push that back down just like that. Then step number 4, you have Powerglide's arms right there and right there. You have a swivel joint right at the bicep right there and right there. We're going to turn these arms all the way around, just like that. We're going to do the other arm and turn all the way around, just like that. So step number 5, you have Powerglide's fist right there and right there. You want to take his fist, flip it right into the forearm, just like that. Do that to the other side to the other fist and flip it right into the forearm, just like that. So step number 6, you want to take Powerglide's arms now. You want to slightly bring them out just like that. Do that. You take that other arm and bring it out just like that. Then step number 7, you have this red piece right there. You have a porthole right there. You have a tab right there. You want to bend the elbow in. You want to make sure that piece tabs right into place just like that. Do that to the other side to the arm piece. Bring it in and make sure it tabs right into that piece just like that. Step number 8. On the side of Powerglide's legs, you have a booster right there and right there. You want to take these boosters, you want to bring them up just like that. Do that to the other booster and bring it up just like that. So step number 9, you have Powerglide's toes right there and right there. One of those toes you have a hinge joint right there and right there. Take that toe, you want to flip it out just like that. Do that to the other toe and flip it out just like that. So step number 10, you have Powerglide's feet now. You have a swivel joint right there and right there. We'll take his foot now and rotate it all the way back just like that. Do that to the other side to the other foot and rotate it all the way back just like that. So step number 11, we'll take his foot now. We'll pull it out just like that. Do that to the other foot and pull it out just like that. So step number 12, you have the hinge joint right there, right there. You want to take that foot now, you want to flip it out just like that. Do that to the other foot and flip it out just like that. So step number 13, you have both these leg pieces right here. Between these leg pieces, you have some tabs and portholes. With these leg pieces, and you want to tab them together just like that. So step number 14, you want to turn Powerglide all the way around. You have that panel right there and right there. You have a hinge joint right there and right there. You want to flip this panel right into the fin just like that. Do that to the other side of that panel, flip it right into the fin just like that. Step number 15. On Powerglide's back right here, you have this panel. You have a hinge joint right here. You want to take this panel and you want to flip it up just like that. Step number 16. Under that panel, you have a double joint hinge joint right there. You want to take this panel, you want to swing it all the way down. You want to tap it right into that bottom piece just like that. So step number 17, you have these rocket boosters. You want to take these rocket boosters, bring them up just like that. Do that just like that rocket booster and bring it up just like that. So step number 18, you have these tabs right there and right there. You want to take these wing pieces, you want to go and untab them just like that and just like that. So step number 19, you have a hinge joint right there and right there. You want to take these wing panels, bring them out just like that. Do that to the other side of that wing panel and bring it out just like that. The 20th and final step, you want to rotate this wing panel down. You want to make sure that tab goes right in that porthole, just like that. Do that to the other side of that wing panel, bring it right down, put it right in that porthole, just like that. And now you have Powerglide in its full jet mode. Now that Powerglide in his jet mode, and on my display table, so we'll go over some of his play features and accessories. First, by talking about his blaster and his mask. And according to the instructions, there's a way to combine these two accessories to form a super weapon. You do that by flipping over the mask here. You have a little slot right there. Top of the blaster, you have that little tab right there. Take that mask and pop it right on top of his blaster, and now you have Powerglide with his super blaster. And I think this accessory is completely ridiculous, because this mask does nothing to enhance the blaster here. It's just a way to store it. I'm not a big fan of storing my weapons on my Transformers, unless it plays a part of the transformation, which does not in this case. But there's a way to arm Powerglide with this blaster. Because the bottom of this blaster has a 5mm peg. On top of this jet here, you have a 5mm porthole. Take that blaster, plug it right in just like that, and now you have Powerglide armed with this blaster. Well, like I said, I'm not a big fan of arming my Transformers or storing the weapons on them while they're in their alt mode. If you're wondering what alt mode is anything that's not the robot mode. Say vehicle mode, an animal mode, in this case a jet mode. So I'm going to take this blaster here, and I'm going to put this off to the side. Because there is a way to arm Powerglide, and I believe the instructions were incorrect, because during the transformation of Powerglide into his jet mode, it had to push this little nub in. Well, this nub is actually a little blaster. And this nub is present in the Generation 1 toy, and in the Generation 1 cartoon series, Powerglide actually fired from this little cannon right here, which is very, very cool. But Powerglide is a fantastic looking figure. There's a lot of design elements that did carry over from the Generation 1 toy, and it is very faithful to the animated model from the Generation 1 cartoon series. Let me go ahead and bring in my Generation 1 Powerglide, and like I mentioned earlier on, you get that little nub right there. That's actually a little cannon that Powerglide fired from in the Generation 1 cartoon series, and even in the comic book. But as you can see, a lot of design elements did carry over from the Generation 1 toy into the Age of the Prime version of Powerglide, which I'm very happy with. And at the same time, this figure maintained a lot of its elements from the Generation 1 cartoon series. So let me go and rotate them around so you can see a lot of similarities and differences on your own. It's a nicely done figure. And we gotta remember, my Powerglide's at least 40 years old, and you'll see some stress marks in the back here. And I'm not sure where that came, I just noticed that, and I don't know if it's because of the way I stored him. And I do have another version of this Powerglide. I got the reissue back in the early 2000s in that multi-pack. And I decided to bring this version of Powerglide because he deserves some credit. I mean, he survived 40 years. I mean, even the rub sign somehow or somewhat works, as you can see. I mean, 40 years. This figure stood the test of time. I mean, it survived my childhood, pretty much. I mean, throwing it across my backyard and my neighbor's kids. But it's a great figure. But I want to go ahead and bring in my Combiners Wars version of Powerglide, because up until the Age of the Primes version of Powerglide, this is my definitive Powerglide. And this Powerglide was more of a modern take and more detailed than the Generation 1 toy. It's based on the same jet though, the Warhog I believe it's called. And as you can see, like I mentioned earlier on, it had that little cannon in the front here. Some detail to the cockpit where they actually gave some deco right there where the cockpit windshield is actually black. It has some black parts of the turbine engine in the back. Very, very cool. Didn't do a good job concealing the robot mode though, but that's very forgivable. I mean, even with this figure right here, they did some concealing, but you don't really see Powerglide's face in his jet mode. And I know Generation 1 is very forgivable, I mean, but only thing you really see is his face. But I mean, all the other robot parts are pretty well concealed. But I want to say Powerglide was a pleasant surprise in this toy line, because I know that there's very few figures left that they need to remake or kind of update in the newer toy line, and they just done a fantastic job with most of them. I mean, Powerglide's jet mode is not perfect, and it does take some hits because they want to stay very faithful to the animated model for the robot mode, but they did a great job nonetheless. I know a lot of people were griping about how they weren't very happy with Powerglide, and I know this piece, the chest plate, kind of protrudes from the cockpit here, but I mean, it's a great figure. Once you these two, put them off to the side. I want to go into detail because you got some nice paint deco detail inside the engine right here in the back thrusters. When you go into the back here, you don't see a lot of hollow spaces. They utilized a lot of the spacing in this figure just very nicely. It's a nicely done figure. I mean, even with the arms, I mean, being based on a Generation 1 toy, and even the animated model is based on Generation 1 toy. And we all know Powerglide's hands kind of go underneath the wings, so they kind of fold up, which I'll go ahead and bring my Generation 1 version of Powerglide and show you guys. I mean, they did a good job concealing it, and they carried over that design element into this version of Powerglide. But nonetheless, this figure is fantastic. I'm really happy that they made Powerglide, and there's a very few number of guys they need to kind of pour over into the Generations toy line that will finish the complete collection, but I do really enjoy what they've done with all the mini-bots so far. Now that Powerglide in his robot mode and on my display table, I once again want to go over some of his play features and accessories. First, I talk about his blaster. And according to the instructions, we're going to arm Powerglide with his blaster while he's in his robot mode. This is a handle blaster here. It's actually a 5mm peg. Each one of his fists is a 5mm porthole. Get that blaster plug in either one of his fists just like that, and now you have Powerglide armed with his blaster. So the next accessory I want to go ahead and bring in is that ridiculous alien mask. And this is actually an Easter egg from one of the episodes from the Generation 1 cartoon series, and that episode was called Hoist Goes to Hollywood. And what happened was, Hoist gets cast in a movie. Well, he went ahead and had some of his other fellow Autobots casted in that same movie, and they were casted as aliens. And so a lot of these Autobots are wearing these alien masks. Order arm Powerglide with that alien mask. You have a little nub right there. You want to pull that up just like that. You take the faceplate now. You want to swing it all the way in just like that. And there's supposed to be a little tab right there with two portholes. Well, the back of the mask here has a little clip. You take that mask, you plug it right in that faceplate just like that. And now you have Powerglide armed with his alien mask. Very cool. Very cool Easter egg. Goofy accessory, but it's kind of cool that they gave the Generation 1 cartoon series a nod by making this accessory. I'm going to take that mask, put it off to the side, that faceplate, flip it back around, show you Powerglide's face again, and push that little tab in, just like that. But there's another play feature that is a nod to the Generation 1 cartoon series, and that's in his chest plate right here. You can open his chest plate right here, because there's an episode where I believe it's Powerglide, or he meets a woman, and at first he saves her, and this girl is infatuated with Powerglide, and what happened by the end of the episode, Powerglide actually returns the favor and actually falls for this girl also, and he opens up his chest panel to reveal this little heart here, which is really cool, and I believe it's the girl that fell in love with Powerglide is the name of the episode, but don't quote me on that because that might not be the exact name, but it's around that ballpark, but it's a very fun episode, and it featured Powerglide, which is really cool. Powerglide was one of the few mini-bots I did own as a kid, as you saw earlier on my other segment. Actually, I have Powerglide in his robot mode right here. And you'll see a lot of the design elements did carry over from the Generation 1 toy. Transformations are sort of similar, but you can tell it was influenced by the Generation 1 toy, but with advancements in technology and engineering, they're able to pull off a very cartoon-accurate version of Powerglide from the Generation 1 cartoon series, which a lot of us Generation 1 fans clamored for, because I mean, never in our wildest dreams would we imagine that this would end up becoming like this, unless it was some sort of masterpiece toy, which, you know, it's nice that they're able to give us these kind of figures in the mainline Transforming toy line, or Transformers toy line. This is just fantastic. And Powerglide is one of the last of the mini-bots they need to update in this generation's toy line. If you don't know what the generation's toy line is, it is a broad toy. It's more the modern Transformers toy line that incorporates a lot of different toy lines right now. Where you have the War for Cybertron, which had Siege, Earth, Rising Kingdom. You had all the legacies. Then now you have the Age of the Primes. You also have the Studio Series. And you also have the HasLab projects, where all the scaling's consistent. You have the weapons that have the 5mm pegs, and a lot of the fists have 5mm holes, so you can arm each other with anyone's weapon now, which is really, really cool, because back in Generation 1, most of the time you only could arm your Transformer with the weapon that it came with, because there was no scaling consistency like there is right now. And they made the scaling where they scaled up the mini-bots to a deluxe class, because that's kind of how it was in the Generation 1 cartoon series, where their mini-bots weren't tiny, but they weren't at the same size as the normal Transformers. So you had the different classification in size, which is nice that they went ahead and they scaled up a lot of the mini-bots. Very, very cool. But I'll go ahead and bring in my Combined War version of Powerglide, because he was my definitive Powerglide on my display shelf until this one came out. Now the circle's almost complete, where I almost have all my updated generations figures, where right now the scaling's more consistent, and he was kind of the last one from the Series 2 Transformers that I needed to kind of update, which is very, very nice. And there's a few Series 3 mini-bots that need to be updated, but I think there's very few now. I think there's one or two that they need to still do. But as you can see, I do like the Combined War version of Powerglide in this robot mode. It's got a very nice look to it. It's got like more of a modernized look to it, where an updated Powerglide, where his scale or his proportions are very consistent. Very nicely done figure. It's just too bad it has to poor jet mode. But I mean, when you go back to Generation 1, I'm gonna take these two put off their side. I mean, Generation 1 was known for its clunkiness, and the Season 2 of Transformers anime series, or Generation 1 Season 2 series, they tried to stay more faithful to the toy design. So as you saw from Season 1, where they're kind of more, you know, they deviated far from the toy design. Well, Season 2, they kind of went closer to it. That's where you get more of the clunkiness and more of the toyetic look of the actual animated models, which I do appreciate with Powerglide, and they brought that back with this version of Powerglide. It's very, very nicely done. But this Powerglide has lots of points of articulation. You got the hip, you got the thigh swivel, you got the knee, you got the toe, you got the elbow, you got the shoulder, you got the fist, and you got the head here, which is very, very cool. This is such a nicely done figure. I really appreciate what Hasbro Takara are doing for us fans. Really nice fan service. I mean, eventually we're going to get every single Generation 1 toy remade in this generation's toy line. On top of that, figures that weren't even made, you know, that were featured on the cartoon series. Just so cool. What a great time to be a Transformer fan. But if you guys found any information in this review valuable, please like and share this video. Also, if you really enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel, and while you're there, click the bell to be notified of any future videos. I want to thank you guys for watching Red Steele's Toy Collector Review. I'll check you guys out next time.